Jeremy, log
Hello.
on. Hey, he's there. There he is, Jeremy.
Yeah, I'm
How you
in.
doing?
Cool. I'm
Thanks for
great. How
joining
you doing,
us.
Tim? Thank you.
Great.
Thanks for having me.
Good shirt.
Yeah, it's a Pokemon shirt actually. So here's
Yeah.
Parasect right here. Yeah.
Nice. I'm going to share my screen real quick because I've got some of your stuff up here.
Sure thing.
Can you guys see us okay, I hope? Okay, so this is your info here. First of all, we have to talk about the puns in your handles and your website. Is that something that did you have to come around to those, or did you just decide to do them right away?
Yeah, I did them right away. They've been around for a long time. I had it as an ode to like Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat. Jeremy Nguyen has survived Charlie Sheen and Linsanity. And yeah, it's now back to being my own thing and not somebody else's.
Okay, great.
But yeah.
And you do stuff for the New Yorker. You both do like the kind of standard, like one panel cartoons that people see and illustrations for other things. I pulled up one of my favorites from a Dr. Seuss's freelance rhyme and woes. I think this is all something we could sympathize with right now. You did a bunch, a couple different. There's a couple of these. Everybody should look them up. They're great. And just briefly, can you tell us a little bit about the difference between doing like the standard New Yorker cartoon, like this one, also art related, is usually in black and white, and some of your other stuff is in color. Like, is it harder to convey a message when you have to use just black and white?
I think it's a lot easier when you don't have to think about color, because color can actually be distracting for a New Yorker cartoon. So a lot of us only really employ color when we are calling out something that definitely needs to be in color. But I actually prefer working in black and white. Color is actually not my strong suit. But I'm learning. I steal a lot. Color is free and color palettes are free. So you can steal from other illustrators, from painting, from photography. It's everywhere. So you can just take it.
You mentioned that the New Yorker has told you to stop doing so many puns in some of your art.
Yeah, my editor there is not a fan of puns. So, my work from the Bushwick Daily and Stranger Than Bushwick, I was doing a lot of puns for those comic strips back in the day. And I had to get out of something I call Pun World, where my head is just like only filled with puns. And then now I have to do like more straight jokes.
We don't know what that's like at all. We have no idea what that's like.
Yeah, it's hard. It's really tough to get out of, but I'm somewhere still raveling with it.
Okay, so we have these questions that we ask every guest, and we use them as a jumping off point for conversation.
Sure.
So and I've got a couple more of your artworks that I'll kind of cycle through as we're talking. What is your favorite word that folks outside your field might not know?
So I have a bunch. I like the word curves. Some of these are like Photoshop terms.
Curves?
And curves. What do you think it means?
I'm going to guess it's some sort of blurring tool.
Not exactly. It is mostly about like adjusting lighting and color. And so I'll do some illustrations with local color at first, which is just like green plants or sky is blue, and then play around with curves by toggling different hues and saturation and lighting to make, the sky might be purple after a while, or the plants turn red. And so it's really helpful for lighting. Mm-hmm. I like the word tangent, of course. That's when if you draw a tree next to a fence and the lines are really close together, it creates this uncomfortable tangent sometimes.
Okay.
And crosshatch, of course. Crosshatch is a fantastic word.
That's when you draw the little lines and fill in?
Yep, pretty much, yeah.
Okay. I'm going to switch to another cartoon of yours that I liked.
Sure.
This is from Wired, I think.
Awesome.
A good commentary on Brooklyn people. What's a word in your field that you were sick of using or hearing?
I have a lot of those for sure.
Give it to us.
I mean, there's a lot of relatable comics and anxiety themed comics. So like whenever somebody looks at a cartoon of yours and it's not really funny, but it's relatable, that can kind of be a dagger in the heart.
Mm-hmm.
Because
the word relatable itself?
Relatable, or it me. Yeah.
Oh yeah. The me, that happens a lot.
Yep. There's a trope that a lot of people use that I'm sick of, which is the Sisyphus pushing up the rock. It's a really easy drawing to do. So a lot of people kind of rely on it a little too much. So I'm kind of sick of seeing that cartoon as well. So Sisyphus, yeah.
That's like a standard, like kind of like guys on a deserted island, like standard.
Exactly. Yeah. Totally. A trope.
Yeah. All right. What is something in your field that does not have a name but should?
Okay. I asked a few cartoonists this, and we kind of came up with like there's something called ink wash, which is adding the gray tones to a cartoon, and not every cartoonist uses the word ink wash when they add those tonal grays. Some people say watercolor. People literally will say adding gray tones. And even if it's not done in ink or ink and water, which is what ink wash is, I kind of want that to be like standardized. It's like we do pencils, we do inks, then we do ink washes. Of course, there are just like cartoonists like me that just only use black and white lines.
So you want the word ink wash to be more standard?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also like a new style of cartooning. I guess it's not new, but it's popular. It's the David Remnick calls it the naive line drawing, which is
naive line drawing. Okay.
Yeah. You might see artists like Liana Fink has this sort of style. There's also a shaggy line style that some cartoonists employ, but naive is like, I think is catching on as one of the phrases, as one of the words to use.
Why naive?
Well, we don't want to say that they're bad at drawing because, nobody's really bad at drawing. They're just really good at drawing the way they draw. Mm-hmm. So naive line is not the perfect word, but for now, I think it really works for some of those artists.
So it's like kind of a euphemism.
Right.
Like kind of a friendly term.
It's a wandering line, it's not exactly a confident line.
Yeah. What's the best in journalism? We have all these like euphemisms for how people give edits on your story instead of saying that it's bad. Like, for instance, someone will say like, "This is a great start," or like,
"Oh yeah,
I like some of this." Like, is there similar things in the art world?
Yeah, they'll say stuff like, "I like the concept" if the drawing is bad, okay. Or I like how you drew this portion, and stuff like that. Soft things, to complimentary first, and then they go with the critique afterward.
Okay, all right, yeah. And I'll just say we could probably take like one or two questions from the chat if Jersey, you want to keep an eye on that, and we'll throw them in at the end. And okay, what's a common word that means something different in your field?
This was kind of hard to find. New Yorker cartoonists do something called batches, where we send in 10 cartoons a week. And so batch is sort of like a standard word that we use. I couldn't really think of any others besides some of these Photoshop terms.
So batches is just like a bunch of cartoons?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Is that a New Yorker thing only, or is that just common?
That's a very New Yorker thing, is calling it a batch. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we have okay in the New Yorker style guide, which is O.K. We don't get okays like OKAYS, but we do get okay from our editor whenever they want to buy a cartoon.
Interesting. Okay. And what is your favorite slang term that you or a colleague have coined? I'll switch to another cartoon too on another piece of art.
Yeah. So I came up with Pun World, but I also have a name for my studio, my drawing office. I call it, I guess it's a phrase. I call it draw hole, which is like a little hole, a little cubby that I burrow into and get drawing done, and crouch my back and strain it into different positions.
Like that's your place that you go to create?
Exactly. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, the physical place. And then, we have a slang for illustration. Sometimes we just call them illos, ILLOS. And then whenever I'm trying to come up with a cartoon, I'm always trying to hit 3 things. They have to be surreal. They have to have surrealism in it. They should be surprising, so like using a trope that hasn't been done before. And then they have to say something about THC, which is the human condition. So I've sort of abbreviated the human condition to THC.
Okay,
then,
THC.
Yeah.
Got it. People in the chat are asking if you sell prints.
Yeah, I sell prints here and there. Sometimes I'll sell original artwork when a cartoon runs. I actually switched over from traditional to digital recently, so I don't have a lot of originals, but I do sell prints. I do have an online store. I sell zines and comics, and and then I do the occasional painting on tote bags as well.
Someone in the chat asks, what normally comes first, your illustration copy or overall concept / topic?
It's a balancing act. Sometimes it's one or the other, but a lot of times it comes from writing and doing a lot of brainstorming. But other times, it's visual, where you're just mashing up a bunch of things. I'm working on some cartoons where a lot of this is definitely not going to sell, because it's a lot of people wearing masks, but they're made of different breads. So like somebody has a croissant mask, and somebody has a French toast mask, and somebody has a brioche mask. And other two people are looking at them and saying, everyone's baking their own masks, their face masks these days. So
see, I'd buy that cartoon. That's great.
Thank you. That's like my favorite cartoon recently.
Yeah. Okay, one more quick one. How long does a New Yorker cartoon take you from the moment you touch pencil to paper till it's done?
So I mentioned the batches earlier, and usually I can I'll sit down and write for like an hour or two a day and come up with jokes. But then the actual physical drawing will take like an hour or an hour and a half. And then we send those in as sketches, and they look pretty finished, because if they don't buy it, we like to sell it elsewhere or at least post it on Instagram. So the sketches almost look pretty finished usually. And then if we do sell a cartoon on Fridays, after we send our sketches in on Tuesdays, then we're given pretty much at our leisure whenever we want to send in our finals. But the actual drawing time for finals takes about like an hour or two.
Okay, well, get to work on those THC batches, and we'll keep an eye out for you. Thank you, Jeremy Nguyen. Check out his website, jeremywinslife.com. Jeremy Wins on social media, and check him out in the New Yorker. And check out his shirt.
Yeah, PokemonShirts.com. Really easy to get. They're great. They're fantastic. They have 150 designs. I think they're adding more.
Excellent. Well, good shirt to choose today. All right. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much, Tim. Take care.
Okay.